Hey, good Saturday morning to everybody. Hope you are warm, hope you're dry, and hope you're cozy to go check out some scores with us. Welcome into the 615 Prep Scoreboard presented by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. Chris Brooks alongside Scott Burton and Cam Reed. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning. How can you not get roused up with an opening like that? I mean,
well, if you're cold, if you're cold, it might be a little bit different story. I totally get it because we go from 75 degrees this week to in the low 30s this morning, and I think playoff football weather hit last night, and we're starting to kind of feel the effects of it now. So definitely a change in the air, and some of these games were a big change in the air for them too. We'll go over all these scores and brackets here in just a minute. Guys, I want to ask you first, what stood out to you last night from the scores that you've seen, not just here, but statewide?
It's beginning to feel a lot like playoffs.
Yeah.
Really what stood out to me was, some of those teams that may have been struggling a little bit riding the ship, and some of the scores that really kind of jumped out to you, or jumped out to me, like the East Nashville score, Waverly. There was a lot of points. There were a lot of points last night.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was going to say. The points on the board, different style of games going on. The game that I was at last night was true classical playoff smash mouth football. Both teams trying to run the football, and you've seen that in several matchups across the state. And you also seen, at the end of the day, there's kids playing their last football games, and there's a little bit of chippiness, but it's not as it's not ill-willed. It's just nobody wants to play their last football game.
Yep.
Yeah. You kind of got to take that. I agree with you. You take that kind of with a grain of salt. Emotions are high. But for every chippy game, you don't hear about the 10-20 that, they shook hands at the end of the game and wished each other well and moved on. So.
Yep.
Well, without further ado, let's dive into some scores, shall we? And we'll start in Class 6A, where Blackman hit the road to Coffee County and escaped Manchester with a 35-31 win. And the Blaze get their 10th win of the season. Coffee County had won its first playoff game last week, but their run ends in round number 2 as the Blaze move on. Coffee County ends its season at 6-6.
Yeah, this was Blackman's first away game in 7 weeks. Their first game on grass in 9 weeks, and it was a messy field that kind of affected Blackman's first half play.
Yeah, and something else you just mentioned it with the weather we had yesterday. A lot of rain in the morning and the afternoon, early afternoon. If you were playing on grass, it certainly did have an effect. But and those teams that are usually on turf, like Blackman, they, like you said, they haven't been on the road in a while. So definitely,
that Blaze offense had to have a touchdown in the second half, in the back half of that fourth quarter, to wind up winning this one.
Yep. They're going to play Oakland next week as the Patriots, get away from Lebanon there in Murfreesboro. Lebanon had this thing close for good part of the first half, but Oakland kind of asserted its dominance and gets away with a 41-7 win as the Patriots improved to 11-1. Lebanon will end its run at 9-3.
Yeah, that Oakland defense is something else. They hold Lebanon without an offensive touchdown. I think the only touchdown came on a blocked punt by Key Kroll. But the thing that got me was the 34 unanswered points by the Patriots. It was just a dominant performance.
Yeah, I listened to a Chuck Gentry interview after the game last night, and he was very surprised at how well Oakland performed on the defensive side of the ball. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Lebanon never really found their stride this season and struggled from penalties and mistakes in this game.
Yeah, and we've seen it several times in the last few years. Oakland's defense finds another gear in the postseason. They may be doing that again. And Oakland and Blackman will run it back next week with Oakland hosting round 2 this time. And in Murfreesboro, they'll have to go to Ray Hughes Stadium to play it. And the Blaze will have to hit the road again if they want to advance. Over in 6A, matter of fact, let's pull these highlights up. Beech won this one 24-21. Let's get these video highlights up real quick and show you how it went down. Darius Johnson didn't take very long to get the Buccaneers on the board. This was a 58-yard touchdown. as the Bucks take an early 7-0 lead. It stayed that way for a while. Here's Nick Kroll with a 23-yard field goal late in the first half. He boots this one through to send Beech to a 10-0 lead, and that's how it would stay at halftime. Smyrna did its best to put keep away, but Darius Johnson, again, first touch of the second half, and, well, he's going to take it to the house. 85 yards for the Buccaneers standout, and after it's all said and done, it's 17-0 Bucks. Smyrna did battle back in this one, though, as the Bulldogs get one from Landon Miller. He'll roll out and find Thomas Jones in the end zone. This is an 18-yard score for Smyrna. It's 17-7 early in the fourth, and the Bulldogs weren't quite done yet. They pull within 3 on this Landon Miller touchdown run from a yard out. And with 7:41 left, it's 17-14 Beech. But the Bucks respond, and, well, who else? It's Darius Johnson. 21 yards out, 24-14 Beech. Smyrna did add this one at the very end of the game. I think it came with like 1 second to go. A tip pass, and Jonathan Messer able to hang on in the end zone. But Beech will advance 24-21.
Here we go. I'm here with Maddox Sorensen, defense lineman for the Beech Buccaneers. Maddox, you had a couple big tackles for loss, and ultimately one of the biggest plays in the game there in the first half is you stoned the quarterback sneak on fourth and goal. What did you see from a defensive front?
Well, I mean, the coaches were just making good calls. They were telling us where to go, and we just listened. I mean, if you want to go far this time of year, you have to lock in and listen to what your coaches tell you to do.
The challenge against facing a guy like Aaron Carter, you don't see those guys every week. Was there a little bit of a chip on your shoulder to kind of shut him down this week?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a really good ball player. I mean, you know, he's going places. So when you hear that, it kind of motivates you, makes you, it's something to test your mettle, see really if you can play ball.
Maddox, you got Cane Ridge next week on the road. Looking forward to being on the road, or would you rather have those guys here on Shackle Island?
I mean, I think everyone likes to be at home. I mean, I love it here at Shackle Island. This is our last game here. We played our heart out. Just glad we got at least one more.
All right, Maddox, good game and good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here with Darius Johnson, 3 touchdowns tonight. Darius, you scored on the first play of the game, and then you also scored on the first offensive play for you guys in the second half. What did you see on those 2 big long runs?
The back toe was wide open, so I hit it every time.
I noticed that you played defense and offense. Is it a testament to Coach Crabtree's conditioning that you have a lot of guys here on y'all's team that play both ways?
Yes, sir. It's hard, but we fight through it every game.
All right, guy. You got Cane Ridge next week. Do you know anything about them? You excited about going on the road next week?
We know nothing about it, but yes, sir, I'm excited to go to Cane Ridge and play them. It's going to be a good game.
Darius, you just come up a little bit short on the Mr. Football semifinalist. You came out tonight and played like you had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Is that true?
Yes, sir, because all the hype was on 11, so I just wanted to come here and play my game.
All right, Darius, good win. Good luck next week against Cane Ridge. Here with Coach Anthony Crabtree as his Buccaneers are successful in defending home turf here in the second round of the playoffs with a 24-21 win over Smyrna. Coach Crabtree, tell me what you saw tonight.
Well, I just saw our guys keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and you know, when bad things happen, you know, they were able to pull it together and overcome the adversity, and you know, our offense was able to have some big plays when we need them off on offense to, you know, keep us ahead in the game, and we were just able to hold them off late and make them keep snapping the ball again on offense, and I think that's what won the game for us.
Coach, Darius Johnson had 3 touchdowns. He scored on the first play of the game for you guys, but he also scored on the first offense play of the second half as well. What's it like to have a back as explosive as Darius?
Oh, man, he's a lot of fun to coach. You know, both our backs run really, really hard. You know, JP Courtney and Darius. Darius is just, I think JP wears him down a little bit, and Darius takes advantage of that. You know, he's a thick kid. He's hard to tackle. You know, people get tired of tackling him, I think, once he gets started. Both of our backs really do a good job of running downhill and being physical and being aggressive. And, you know, they have great vision. Darius, I think, has developed his vision a little bit as the seasons went on. JP's kind of always had that vision. But you know, both those guys played extremely well tonight. Darius had a couple more long runs, and get those 3 touchdowns, like you said. But both those guys are really good backs.
Coach, your linebacker core gets a lot of love, but what about your defensive linemen? Most notably, Maddox Sorensen with a big 4th and goal stop down on the quarterback sneak in the first half.
Yeah, you know, Maddox Sorensen plays his guts out, you know, both sides of the football. Starts at offensive tackle and, you know, plays defense. We try to rotate them in and out. You know, Mason Reeves starts at offensive guard and plays a ton of defense as well. You know, both those guys, they're tough, you know, and they play their hearts out every snap on defense and offense. So we try to rotate him as much as we can, but Maddox, he might be our best defensive lineman. He played exceptionally well tonight, and he's done that all year long. This is not the first time. He probably doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Coach, you got Cane Ridge next week on the road as you've wrapped up the season here at Shackle Island, I believe, with no possible home playoff games left. What's the challenge on going on the road in the playoffs, and what do you know about Cane Ridge?
Don't know a whole lot about them other than obviously they're good. You know, they're usually fairly big. They always have some speed with athletes. They're well coached. You know, we've played Coach Woods and Cane Ridge before in the past. Obviously they're good or they wouldn't still be playing right now. So we're just going to have to come up with a game plan and, you know, try to get our guys healed up and go in there and see what we can do.
All right, Coach, thank you, and good luck next week.
Yep, thank you.
Beech will survive, and like he said, we'll hit the road to play Cane Ridge next week, and Cam will bring you guys back in. I think there's a play in the second half. I want to start. Sorry, Scott. I want to start with the play in the second half that might have changed this game. Cam, I think Beech was going in to possibly make this 24-0 and had a fumble that kind of changed the course of it, didn't it?
Yeah, so basically what had happened was Beech scores to go 17-0 there in the third quarter. The ensuing kickoff is muffed. Beech recovers at Smyrna 25 or so. Second play, Caden Thiemann breaks it around the left sideline and is coming down the sideline. Winds up scoring. He was ruled out at the 3, and video evidence says he was not out. But the ensuing play, Beech fumbles on the 2. Smyrna then goes 98 yards. The game really changed at that point, and Smyrna had all the momentum. But Beech did do what good teams do in the playoffs. And when Smyrna cut it to 17-14, they got back to the basics. They got back to Darius Johnson running the football. They picked up 4 or 5 first downs, leading to that third touchdown from Darius Johnson. So the game definitely changed on that play, on those 2 plays there in the third quarter, but Beech was able to hang on.
My understanding is that Beech actually imported a little extra help for this game. My understanding is that Darius Johnson's mother showed up unknown and from Kuwait, where she's stationed. First of all, I want to thank her for her service. The second thing is that it evidently spurred Darius Johnson into a big night, 237 and 3 TDs on 14 carries. What a special night for that young man.
Yeah,
the second one.
Yeah, the 237, I think, is a season high for Darius Johnson, too. Sorry, Scott.
No, it's fine. Oh, no, the second one was what a grown man beard on Maddox Sorensen. That is a grown man beard on a young man playing like a grown man on that defensive line.
Yeah, and guys, we said coming into this game, whoever's linebacker core and defense played better would win this game, and ultimately they did, as Darius Johnson goes for 237, and Beech was able to hold Aaron Carter to, I believe it was 157 yards on like 30 carries. So he was all the way, he didn't have very many big runs last night, and that was the difference in the game. Beech broke a couple long ones, and Smyrna couldn't get any big plays.
Yeah, Scott, you talk about playoff beards. That's a playoff beard that Maddox Sorensen had. So definitely hats off to him for growing that thing out. And I'm sure he's not going to want to shave that anytime soon. Who would Beech play? Well, we know it's Cane Ridge, but let's see how they handle Clarksville over there in Antioch. Javon Abdullah finding Byron Davis. This is a 9-yard touchdown for the Ravens to get them up to a 7-0 lead. And Cane Ridge off and running. Abdullah to Jadell Sane. After he weaves his way around the Clarksville defense, rolls out to his right and eventually finds Sane, who does what he does best and works his way through the defense into the end zone. 14-0 Ravens near the end of the first quarter. On to the second. Abdullah and Saint hook up again. This time it's 12 yards out. Again, Abdullah rolling to his right and finding Saint near the front corner of the end zone. 21 to zip Ravens. Siobhan Abdullah, we're going to call his name quite a bit here. This one, a 4-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Johnson. They went for 2 and got it. 29-0 Cane Ridge after the conversion. Clarksville did get on the board here. Here's Jamar Carnell. Cuts through the Raven defense and is off to the races to the end zone. 47 yards for the Wildcat touchdown, 29-6 Cane Ridge. But Abdullah, again, this time Most Phillips the third, cuts around a Clarksville defender and finds the end zone. It's 36-6. On to the fourth quarter. Abdullah, one more touchdown pass for good measure. One more time to Most Phillips the third. 42-6 Cane Ridge, the final.
A pretty dominating win, Jalen. What was your mindset going in, knowing that this was a team last year that put you guys out?
We came out with a chip on our shoulder. We said it's not happening again.
Yeah, it's. Is that something that, I mean, when you found out, did you find out when the schedule came out, or did it just happen? You guys see it, or have you?
When we found out, we were excited. We had this game circled for 365 days.
But now, you guys did a really good job of shutting down their running attack. Jamar Carnell is a heck of a back. What did you guys focus on this week?
Everybody do their job, work on your technique, and do your assignment, and then plays will come your way. You just play out high, play up.
You had a great night out of your quarterback. I think Siobhan had 6 touchdowns, but one of them to you, and good to see you get on the board again. Can you walk me through that play?
It's like a bootleg play. We just shift the line. I come across it. I mean, it's been there the whole season. It's been working.
Now, you guys are, you're just a few steps away. I mean, what do you guys got to do to get to that next step?
We got to keep growing week to week. We got to mature. Last week we had some mistakes, but we still shut them out. But this week we still got to be maturing on everything, like technique, discipline, and your assignments, your job.
And I believe you guys get the winner of the Smyrna Beech game. You know anything about those teams?
They're both run-heavy teams. I mean, we seen Smyrna earlier in the season, so we know we can do against them, but we haven't seen Beech yet.
Yeah, Beech is another run-heavy team as well. So I'm assuming that you guys will attack that similar to the way you attacked this team here. Well, congratulations. Great night. Enjoy it, and hopefully we get to see you on down the line. Guys, we talked at the beginning of the year at Media Day, and you guys told me that this was where you were wanting to be and where you wanted. Do you feel like you got a little redemption from last year?
Sure, we did. We came in this week very prepared, focused. We really wanted to get this win, not just get the win, dominate over them, which is, we could have done a lot better, but we pretty did dominate on them.
Yeah, they definitely left a bad taste in our mouth, so we just had a lot of anger and intensity this week. We didn't let it leave our mind, so we just brought that same intensity to the game and just kind of unleashed it on them and just tried to do it in dominant fashion.
How's this team, how you guys together now? I mean, you all feel like you're all working off the same sheet, you're all working together. I mean, that's a big thing this time of year, is to have a team that's cohesive.
Yes, I said we definitely together. Like, we spend a lot of time together. We talk to each other all the time. Like, a lot of the key stuff is off the field. And that's what we're learning. Like, we're really bonding together, learning each other, learning how to talk to each other when a guy mess up. This guy may take it different than this guy. So we've definitely grown together and have more trust in each other. And it definitely shows,
And it's also, good with the younger guys, because we need a lot of depth on our team, because playoffs, anything can go wrong. Somebody gets hurt, out for one play, we need the young guys to step up, so we make sure we include them as well.
Siobhan, you had a big night. You had 6 touchdown passes on the night. You didn't run as much. Was that by plan, or was it just the guys were open and available?
Guys were open. Line gave me great time to throw the ball. Didn't really get pressured this game, so I was really comfortable in the pocket, and my receivers made great catches, great routes.
You guys got the winner of Beech and Smyrna. I'm not going to ask you if you have a preference, but I know you're familiar with Smyrna. Do you know anything about Beech and what it would take to beat them?
I know they're definitely a great program. They got a great program, great culture over there. Kind of all the teams around this time that's making it to the third round kind of have that, a great culture, great program. We played them years back when I wasn't even here. I was just watching. My dad was coaching. and we came and we beat them. I know they went to the state a couple years back with Jalen Hurd, but all of that kind of go out the window when you're out here with somebody. You kind of just got to play them hard, play them fast, and try to dominate them.
What do you guys got to do to get to Chattanooga?
Start fast.
Start fast, finish fast. Play together.
Well,
3 things.
Nobody can beat Cane Ridge but Cane Ridge.
Well, guys, I hope to see you there. Congratulations on the win. Enjoy it, and we'll hope to see you on down the line.
Yes, sir.
The thing that stands out to me about that conversation with Siobhan and Mose Phillips knows his stuff, obviously, guys, and I'll bring y'all back in. I covered a couple of those Cane Ridge Beech games back in the day, and he's right. I mean, that's exactly what it's got to take to be in this round. I mean, you've got to have a good culture, and right now, Cane Ridge has that culture. A 42-6 win over Clarksville. We talked about it earlier this season. Eddie Woods has mentioned it several times that the loss to Clarksville last year kind of set what their expectations were for 2022, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. And the defense, we talk a lot about their skill position players because they're really, really good. But that defensive line is something else. They shut down, for the most part, that Clarksville triple option that has given so many people problems this year. And has gotten them this far. But that Cane Ridge defense, Jalen Johnson, he was just wreaking havoc on the edge. I know there was one play where he was in the backfield about the same time the ball arrived to the back. And that defense and Mose Phillips playing at the safety position, there's something else. And they are playing together right now. I think that they have a purpose. And Shavana Abdullah, if there's nobody recruiting him, they're insane. Because this guy he keeps his eyes downfield. He can screen. You saw that on the screen. He can scramble. He buys time. He can run. But most of all, he keeps everything downfield, and he'll hit you on numbers. They left some scores on the board that Abdullah put it on the money deep, and they just couldn't come up with the catch.
Yeah, at Cane Ridge and Beech will get after it in the quarterfinals in 6A next week. Beech will travel to Antioch to play that game against the Ravens, and they've run this back a couple times in the playoffs in past years, and Beech has not beaten Cane Ridge in the playoffs. If I recall correctly, I'd have to go back and check, but Cane Ridge has gotten the better of Beech at Cane Ridge for sure.
Yeah, very interesting matchup. Cane Ridge kind of gets to see the same thing where Beech does not get to see the same thing, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah, I think defense is going to be this is one of those games that could be 42-40. This is one of these games that could be 10-7.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a lot of scores to go through before we end this show, but before we do, let's hear from our sponsor at Fifth Gear Technology Concepts.
In today's business world, it can be expensive to maintain a staff of experienced and knowledgeable IT personnel, especially for a small or medium-sized business. You don't have the time to monitor your own systems or stay up on the latest cybersecurity or technological solutions while trying to service your customers. That's why you should contact Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. Fifth Gear is an award-winning managed service provider that can manage your business needs with local and responsive IT support services. Fifth Gear specializes in fully managed or co-managed IT support, cybersecurity, cloud solutions, and superior customer care that can fit your budget. Call today and learn more at 615-606-3121 or visit us at fifthgearconcepts.com. Fifth Gear Technology Concepts, the latest insights and information in the world of IT.
Continuing on with the round 2 scores, and Region 7-6A is done after Brentwood's loss at Bartlett 28-7 last night. The Bruins were the last team from that region standing, and Bartlett finished them off. And the Memphis teams have asserted their dominance in the first 2 rounds of this bracket.
Yeah, ultimately it just come down to one of the things that has hurt Brentwood this season. Their offense has just not got the same amount of firepower as some of these other teams. Defensively, they can match anybody. And I believe that's what cost them in this game, is not having the offensive firepower to keep up.
That's true. Their offense has been challenged this year. They actually crawled back. They actually fought back to a 14-7 score, cut it to one score. But the onside kick that followed was returned 51 yards for a touchdown. Took all that momentum right away.
Yep. It's Bartlett and Germantown out of that bracket as the Red Devils knocked off Houston 24-14 last night. So Germantown will travel to Bartlett in the quarterfinals and will host whoever wins between Beech and Cane Ridge. So
Germantown beat Bartlett in the regular season.
Yep.
Look at that Germantown team knocking off number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, that just goes to show that Region 8 and 6A was pretty balanced, top 1 through 4 this year, and we'll get to see more of it next week from them. Over in 5A, Page and Mount Juliet and turned into a track meet, 42-39. The Patriots come out of Mount Juliet with their win. It was the first time these two teams had played each other, and Page gets away with a 3-point win. This one was wild, Scott.
Yeah, it really was. It's the second year in a row Page has knocked out a Wilson County team out of the playoffs, and this was a wild contest. It was a close game all the way through. I think 11 points during the game was the before the was the biggest difference. Caden Walker had 117 yards rushing, but Page has got a little bit of an issue with special teams. They're going to have to get corrected because De'Aris Morton blocked 2 punts, returned one for a touchdown. The other one was returned by another player that kept Mount Juliet in the game.
De'Aris Morton's been known to block some kicks this season. He's had some big ones, and he came up with some again. But Page will move on after the win over Mount Juliet. Who are they going to play? Well, it's Nolensville. They'll run it back next week as the Knights win the duel with Malachi Dow and White County 56-36. White County, between Malachi Dow and Trip Pinion, they got theirs, but ultimately their defense just couldn't stop Nolensville.
Yeah, second week in a row, 500 yards rushing between those two guys. And they just couldn't stop Nolensville as Kobe Walton put up over 250 and 4 touchdowns. The running back,
Samson Johnson.
Yep, put up 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, they just didn't have an answer. In just about every White County game this year that they've lost, that's been the case. They've put up the offensive numbers. They just couldn't get enough stops.
Well, we've been waiting for this Nolensville team to really show out offensively. I think this game they really did. And we've been waiting for Samson Johnson to have a breakout game. He gets 188 yards, including, I think, a 75-yard touchdown run. So it's going to be a really, really, like you said, Chris, it's a run back. It's a throwback. It's a game that went to overtime last time. So, and I'm jumping ahead. I apologize.
No, you hit the nail on the head. They run it back next week in Nolensville. It's the site of that overtime classic back in October, and Nolensville and Page were separated by just 6 points. As Samson Johnson had that OT winner in the first meeting, and they'll run it back next Friday. And just a side note, that's our spotlight game for next week. We're going to run it back as well, just to let everybody know where we're headed on Friday of week number 3 in the postseason.
Yeah, you had to. Yeah. I mean, there's so many good games in the area, but as good as this one was the first time, it's going to be the same thing again this time.
Yeah, that was a great crowd the first time around, and I expect it to be even bigger this time as well. On to the other side of that part of the bracket. Portland's run ends at Paris with a 42-7 loss at Henry County. Panthers will finish 6-6, while the Patriots will move on to face Springfield in the next round. No trouble for Henry County. They're 10-2 right now and playing really good football. So could be a tough draw. If they advance, they would host a potential semifinal. Springfield on the other side of that, 38-13 win at Munford. Big win for the Yellow Jackets on the road. Munford was unbeaten. They'll finish 11-1.
Huge win for the Yellow Jackets, and our guy Devin Crenshaw gets another shot at that red team, as he called them earlier this year.
Crenshaw, he only completed one pass, but it was for 53 yards and a touchdown. But he also contributed. It's good to see that he's running. Again, another 137-yard rushing total, two scores there. Good that he's recovered from that shoulder injury he suffered at Beech. So, this Springfield team, it's not the win that is as surprising as the how well their defense dominated.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Springfield right now. I mean, you mentioned Crenshaw. When he's back running again, that's when this offense is at its best, when he's able to do both. If he's not having to sit back and throw it, then it's a lot more dangerous with him running the football.
That regular season game with Springfield and Henry County went to overtime, did it not?
I believe it did, actually. I believe you're right.
So both these quarterfinals are rematches of overtime games.
Yeah. Yep. We've had several overtime games in this postseason, and we're not done talking about those. A little bit of a spoiler for later in the show. Again, another run it back when Springfield go into Henry County. That one will be in Paris this time, as the Yellow Jackets and Patriots will look to get to the semifinals. They'll host whoever comes out of that Page-Nolensville game on Black Friday. Class 4A, Procone 54-21 winner over Hardin County. The Firebirds 10-2. They've won 10 in a row. As Firebirds team, it's looking pretty stout.
One of the first times this year, this game was close for a little bit, and then Procone's offense blew up, scoring quickly. I believe they scored 5 touchdowns in less than a quarter. And I don't see anybody being able to slow them down at this point. Maybe Haywood, but that's a semifinal matchup possibly. As we see, the team that we thought that they would play in the quarterfinals actually got upset, as we'll look at here shortly. But Procone's on a mission.
Yep.
Yeah, they offensively, you're talking about both of their running and passing games are performed well here. Malachi Cromwell had 133 yards, 2 scores. Javion Kennard 118 in the score. Darius Reed, he had 131 yards and a couple of touchdowns from Keyshawn Tarleton. This is an offense that nobody wants to see right now, but their defense is stout as well. This is one of those teams that started the season kind of, had everybody scratching their heads, and since then have just gone on to play extremely well.
Yep. Who will they play next week? They'll have the road to travel to Lexington, as Lexington knocked out Marshall County 21-14 on Friday night. So the 1 seeds get through in this particular bracket, and Procone's the one that'll be traveling next week. Class 3A, Smith County wins again 28-6 over Fairview, the second straight year. They knocked the Yellow Jackets out of the postseason as the Owls defend the home turf there in Carthage with the win. They're 11-1. Fairview falls to 8-4 as their season comes to a close.
Yeah, Smith County's rolling at this point, guys. We'll see what the Owls have in store for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, my understanding is that the Smith County defense just shut down the Fairview running game in this game, and then it really was broken open with Caden Powell on a 60-yard run. Another run-throw quarterback like Devin Crenshaw that is deceptively fast and quick, despite the size. I mean, both of those guys are tall, and they got muscle to them. So.
To add on to that, Devin Crenshaw's a senior, and he's about 6'2",
yes,
about 230, 225, 230. Caden Powell is 6'2", 230, and is a freshman.
Yeah.
What do you do? Hard to defend that, especially when he's got 3 more years to grow and
that's the amazing thing. This kid's only going to get better.
Yeah, Smith County has a great future with him at quarterback, and a great present right now, too. Who are they going to play next week? They're going to run it back with East Nashville. 40-34, Eagles go into Waverly and win. And the Eagles, whose offense had struggled the last 3 weeks, they find it in the second half, or the first half, really.
Yep. Coach Stewart mentioned last week in the interview that the offensive side of the ball had to pick things up, and boy, did they this week. I'm sure he's not too happy with the way the defense performed there in the second half, but, I mean, when you're facing a back like Easton Elliott, I mean, may wind up winning Mr. Football in 3A. He's got to be happy that he gets, and I'm sure those kids are too, to get another shot at the Owls.
He'll tell you he gets to see him again on Monday. That's his mantra. They win, he gets to see him again on Monday. Zach Beard, tremendous performance. 13 of 16 for 324 and 4 touchdowns in that game. Frank Gordon goes off. He gets 4 of those catches for 155 and a score. Coach Stewart leaned on the defense while they were working on getting that offensive line and all the internal strife that they had. But it looks like, if that offense catches up to that defense, it'll be tough to stop them.
Yep. Kind of the team we thought we might see in this postseason, and they just might have found their offense at the right time. And again, they'll run it back in Carthage next week. East Nashville and Smith County. They'll go back to the hole down there in Carthage to tangle for round 2.
Yeah, when we said that we had a bunch of good games coming up this week, guys, there's several rematches, but they're rematches of classics.
Yep.
Smith County wins the first game 15-14 on a 2-point conversion. I mean, I expect more of the same. This is going to be a absolute great game in the hole.
Yep. Let's look at 2A. Westmoreland, unfortunately, their season will come to an end. They fall at Tyner 42-17. And ending with a 7-5 record, Tyner improving to 11-1. This one was close actually for a while, if I'm not mistaken, Cam.
Yeah, halftime, Tyner led 7-3 at halftime. Wound up pushing it out, had it 21-10 there midway through the third, and then Westmoreland was driving inside the Tyner 30 and wound up fumbling, and then from there things just steamrolled downhill. The Eagles went on the road and really hung in there with what most people have already crowned the state champion in 2A. The Eagles had a good season, but ultimately, offensively, they just, similar to like the Brentwood team. They're very similar teams, in my opinion. Defensively, they're as good as anybody, but offensively, they have their moments, but for the most part, they struggle. And ultimately, that was the demise of the Eagles this year.
So what we're seeing, Cam, I think, and Chris, going back to what you asked at the beginning of the season, beginning of the show, excuse me, is that defense may win championships, but you need offense to balance.
Yeah, you got to put some points up at least. And if Tyner's going to win a state championship, they're going to have to run through East Robertson to do it. The Indians advanced to the quarterfinal for the first time ever, 38-14 over Bledsoe County. The Indians really did have a lot of trouble on this one, improving to 11-1, while they knocked Bledsoe County out of the postseason with a 7-5 mark.
Yeah, can we get a that a boy for Coach Brooks? First year, and he does something that Coach East Robertson has never done. So that coaching staff with Hayden Alexander and Coach Brooks over there has really got those kids playing great football, and I look forward. That's going to be a great game next week. You talk about athletes at the 2A level, and you're talking two loaded teams with athletes there with East Robertson and Tyner. That one could be a barn burner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they may have to add another light onto the scoreboard for that game next week. Another big night for Mr. Football semifinals. Zeke Prince, 113 yards, 2 scores. Isaiah Groves, this is the second straight week that he's had over 100 yards rushing. Their offensive line is just blowing holes in defenses out there. This is going to be a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, it's a battle for a home semifinal game, as the winner will get one of those. East Robertson won't have to go anywhere if they win it, but both 1 seeds get through to the quarterfinals here in this part of the 2A bracket. Class 1A, Gordonsville goes down to South Pitt and gets it done. They returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown and held on to win 14-7 over the Pirates. They had a slow start this year, but Gordonsville now 9-3, and they get to run it back with Clay County next week.
Yeah, they were up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, guys. And we talk about Coach Jackson's experience that he gained while he was at Oakland. I think that paid dividends in this game as they went on the road somewhere that he has been. And the two programs are super familiar with each other. It's just about a given that they're going to play every year at some point in the playoffs. And I'm going to go ahead and call my shot. This Gordonsville team is going to come out really ticked off next week.
Guys, I want to ask this real quick. Somebody picked Gordonsville to win that game. Who was that?
I was just waiting for you to. Yeah, it was you, Chris. And congratulations for that. It was a heck of a call on a game that you may have been the only one. I don't even think the cat picked that one.
Speaking of called shots, we'll just go ahead and just throw that out there. So, you're welcome.
Well, Gordonsville in all 3 phases of the game really played well. They returned the opening kickoff actually for a touchdown. Then they get, as Cam said, that touchdown run out of Bryson Greer that puts it up 14-0. But the defense just holds. It's one long pass, one big play that scored in the second quarter, and then there was nothing. It was just a defensive scrum there in the second half. Gordonsville's making believers of any doubters out there.
Yep. Salina's the site again, as it was the first time around. They played a one-score game in week 11, and they'll run it back in the quarterfinals this week. The winner will have a home playoff game in the semifinals. So
I believe Gordonsville had a 20-19 lead in that game, driving to push the lead out, and had a turnover, and Clay and Sood went down and scored to win that one in the regular season game.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe you're right. Before we go any further, let's hear from another one of our fine sponsors at Miracle Auto Group.
Hi, everyone. Jim Galvin, Miracle Ford, your Ford dealer in Gallatin, Tennessee since 1980. Great news, beginning now. When you need service, we can come to you.
Our mobile service van comes to you wherever you are. Whether you need oil change, lube, routine maintenance, warranty, filters, wiper blades, batteries, bulbs, recalls, and more.
Visit our website
or call us now.
Are you ready for a miracle?
On to the Division II brackets. We start in Single A, and Friendship Christian and DCA a barn burner over there. The Commanders had a block and extra point in overtime to get the win over the Wildcats 14-13. And Friendship Christian, after having a week off in that first round bye, gets to 11-0, but it wasn't easy for them for sure.
What a play by Chase Eakes. You see guys try that play all the time, and it doesn't end up well. Most of the time, they wind up getting dumped on their head. But he took 2 steps, hurdled the line, and blocked the extra point there in overtime to win this one.
Yeah, it's amazing that because I was there at the first game where Friendship just dominated offensively. DCA came in with a solid game plan, and we knew that the growth for this DCA team was going to be there. They do a really good job. They hold. I think they held Jones. They held Jones to like 98 yards and a touchdown, and Garrett Weekly, he scored both touchdowns. So it was just a tight game all around, and Friendship really escapes with this win.
Yeah, but to me, this game is not necessarily a hold up on Friendship. This is a testament to Paul Wade and what he can do from a coaching standpoint, really getting his guys ready to go.
Yeah, they really circled a potential rematch and after the loss in the regular season, and obviously their game plan was very solid. It just didn't work out in the end.
And I'll agree with Cam here and say that I don't think that this is a slight on Friendship. And in fact, this is a game that this is one of the few games where Friendship actually had to overcome some adversity. Yep. And, every time a team, makes its way to a championship or to a championship game, there's a game that they can point to that they said, we fought or we did something to overcome adversity. And when this may be that game for Friendship Christian.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I know they finished 7-5, but I believe this is just speaking more on what Coach Wade was able to do this year. I think this is probably one of his better coaching jobs this year. For them to lose, I believe they lost their first 2 games or 2 out of the first 3, and really get things circled back, headed in the right direction. This DCA team is going to be back again next year.
Yep. Friendship Christian will take on University School of Jackson as USJ has its way with Lakeway Christian 48-6, and USJ will hit the road to go over to Friendship Christian for that semifinal game next week. On the other side of the Division II bracket in Single A, Middle Tennessee Christian season comes to a close with a 9-3 mark. They fall at Jackson Christian 27-25. Eli Wilson had a big night for the Cougars, but it wasn't enough as Middle Tennessee Christian will bow out with a 9-3 mark. Scott, do you have numbers on Wilson? I believe you did.
I do. He 26 carries for 253 and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Great performance out of Wilson, but just not quite enough.
Nashville Christian 42-7 winners over Trinity Christian in their playoff opener as they had that first round bye last week. The Eagles get their 9th win of the year as Trinity Christian bows out of the 5-7 mark. So it's Jackson Christian, Nashville Christian in next week's semifinal.
Man, we talked about Caden Powell being a freshman, but man, what about the freshman that Nashville Christian has? Jared Curtis is just really about the midway point of the season. He burst onto the scene, and I don't know if you can't, number wise, you can't look and find a better quarterback probably.
Well, not only that, but their leading rusher was Bryson Holt, another freshman, 59 yards and 2 scores on the night. So, those young ones are getting educated real quick over there.
Yeah, good experience for those guys because, I mean, anytime you get in the playoffs, you can get that valuable experience. It will serve you well later on.
Yep.
The AA bracket, CPA 21-13 winners at Los Angeles. The Lions will get to the semifinal again with a 7-5 mark after knocking off the number 1 seed from the West region.
21 unanswered from the Lions to win this one.
Yep. Braden Streeter to London Humphreys for one of them for 70 yards. Those were the 2 scores. He put CPA out in front, and then Cruz Laws gets a capper with about 4 minutes left.
They'll take on Chattanooga Christian as the Chargers, and despite having their best player leave the team this week, they beat FRA 36-21.
Yeah, big win for the Chargers for sure. You have to wonder if that FRA team didn't hear about Boo Carter leaving and kind of just take the intensity down just a little bit, and it could have cost them in this game. But either way, what a great first year for Coach Geisinger and this FRA team. Similar to DCA, they'll be back next year, and they may be a force to be reckoned with next year.
With the way that new classification is going to go, FRA may very well be a state contender in AA next year.
It very well could be. I mean, Javoris Havis, and I'm probably butchering his name, who's replaced Boo Carter there at Chattanooga Christian. He had a big night, scored 4 times. They just the FRA's gotten too much of a hole. They got down 22-0 against a team that runs the ball and can control clock. Still managed to, Clark still got some numbers, but just wasn't enough time for FRA to get ahead.
Yeah. So it's CPA on the road at Chattanooga Christian, and the winner will be back in Chattanooga in just a couple of weeks' time as those semifinal games will take place next week. Davidson Academy season comes to a close with a 6-6 mark. They fall to top-seeded Knoxville Webb 49-24 in Knoxville last night. Webb now at 10-0, and the Spartans really didn't have a lot of trouble with dispatching Davidson Academy. Yeah, don't adjust your screen. This is correct score. 77-13, Lipscomb Academy over Silverdale. Lipscomb scored 70 first half points.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice.
Hank Brown, 17 of 18 for 272 and 5 touchdowns. I mean, that but the big thing was that Caleb Beasley had 3 interceptions, and 2 of them went for scores.
Yep. I mean, hard to top that, and the Lipscomb machine rolls on to the semifinals where they will take on Knoxville Webb, but the Mustangs will have to go on the road to do it.
And they'll have to go knock off a Webb team that is playing for something a little extra this year, I believe, as Coach Meskey has said that this would be his last year, if I'm not mistaken. So that Webb team is going to be even a harder out than what they would be playing for that longtime coach there at Knoxville Webb.
We're waiting to see if Lipscomb Academy is about to get a challenge, and they just might next week with Knoxville Webb. But and they're certainly rolling into that game with a 77-point output over the Seahawks of Silverdale. On to AAA. NBA rolls over Christian Brothers 33-14. That Big Red improved 11-0 and used that bye week to their advantage.
Yeah, they got it in cruise control, but they better find another gear next week.
Yeah, Marcel Reed, another good night. 2 scores passing, and he also had another 59 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Not like you said, this one they kind of cruised, but it'll be interesting going forward from here.
And NBA will have McCauley next week as the Blue Tornado knockout Ensworth 38-28, and the Tigers season ends with a 7-4 record with the loss.
Yeah, this is going to be a dandy.
Yeah, that Innsworth game. That both teams combined for about 935 yards of total offense, but the story really was third downs. Innsworth only 4 of 13 on third downs, couldn't convert, and it cost them. They rallied. We've seen this theme this week before. Local teams getting down, they rallied from a 17-point deficit, but just come up short.
McCallie will hit the road again. They'll travel to NBA, who will host that semifinal game in AAA with a state championship spot on the line. All right. Let's see. Let's load up some more highlights here, shall we? With Hope Prep going to Brentwood Academy. This was supposed to be a matchup of quarterbacks between Kenny Minchie and George McIntyre. Well, more on that in a minute. But Colby Jones put BA up 26-yard TD, 7-0. Eagles in the first quarter. Brentwood Academy added on to it. Deuce Scott, this one from 18 yards out as the Eagles added on 14-0 late in the opening period. They added a George Lasker field goal early in the second, and then McIntyre got going. He's going to find Griffin Kropp here on this 14-yard touchdown pass to put the Eagles up 24-0. And this was still in the second quarter.
What a window throw.
McIntyre keeps this one himself. He goes in from a yard out. 31-0 Brentwood Academy in the third. The running clock. Mercy rule goes on from there. And Foster McConnell will cap the scoring for the Eagles. This one, a 9-yard touchdown run. 38-0 Brentwood Academy, and the route is on. Hope Prep struggled offensively all night. We'll tell you why in a minute. Chet Lax in at quarterback for this next clip. He's going to find Josh Maylander. This one, a 24-yard touchdown for the Knights to avoid the shutout. But Brentwood Academy is going to roll on to the semifinal. They win it 38-7.
Deuce, you guys wanted revenge on them for how they knocked you out last year, and you guys got it in a big way. How good does tonight feel with that revenge in hand?
Man, it feels great, man. All week we practice on working on. Dang, my bad. All week we just worked on the plays, and we just studied because we didn't want that same feeling we had last year, and that feeling's not great.
You guys had some trouble on the opening kickoff and gave up a turnover right out of the bat, but the defense got in and turned them back over. How huge was that stop to kill the momentum they had?
Man, that was great, man. We killed their ego a little bit with that because they thought they was going to score off that first drive, but we said, nah, we got to stop this. Yeah.
The way you guys have played defensively most of this year, how good is this unit now compared to maybe 6 weeks ago when you played NBA?
It's great. We built chemistry throughout the season, and our chemistry is great as a team, man. We love each other so much, and we'll do anything for each other, for we're brothers.
You guys are one step away from a spot in the Blue Cross Bowl. What's that going to mean to get to a state championship game and play for it?
It's going to mean a lot because we haven't been to the state championship in a while, and it's really our class 23, our goal is to make it to state. So we're just going to focus on one game at a time and make sure we get there.
As a senior, this is a special run for you because it could be your last game any week.
Yes, sir.
Now, what's it mean for you right now playing these games with this type of intensity and pressure?
It means a lot. I'm willing to die on this field just so this won't be my last game. So, yeah, that's it.
If you guys do get to Chattanooga and win a championship, what would it mean for you personally?
It would mean a lot because I've never really won a championship before. So to have my first ring would mean a lot. So, yeah.
All right, man. Congratulations.
Yes,
great game.
Yeah, thank you.
Another touchdown catch for you tonight. The way this offense was rolling tonight, how important was it to get off to a good start and just go ahead and put them away early?
Oh, it's awesome. We lost them last year. They knocked us out of the playoffs, and it's just awesome to be back with my team and just keep playing with my team. That's the goal, so it's awesome.
You guys had a problem on the opening kickoff and gave up possession, but when your defense got that stop, that kind of felt pretty good, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. I trust my guys. They're amazing players. They're going to do what needs to be done. So.
Last year they knocked y'all out, so obviously revenge on your minds. What was this week of practice like leading up to tonight?
Oh, man, we were locked in. We were ready. We were just prepared. Coaches did a great job. The team mindset was we're going to get them back. We're going to get revenge, so it's awesome.
One step away from Chattanooga, possibly playing for a gold ball. What's it going to mean for you guys if you can get a win next week and get there?
It's a lifelong dream. So just chasing it. I want to keep playing with my friends. That's all it is.
All right, in your mind, how good's this team playing right now?
There's always room for improvement, but we're playing well, and we need to play well this time. So that's it.
All right, man. Congratulations on the game.
Kind of had to run that interview back with him. We actually had him after the Ainsworth game and had some technical difficulties, so I wanted to get him back on camera for this one. But I'll bring you guys back in here. 38-7, Brentwood Academy over Pro Prep, and yeah, the Eagles' defense was impressive, and part of it was due to Kenny Minchie, who only had a couple of snaps before re-aggravating that shoulder injury. It appeared and went out and didn't come back. And Elijah Robb, their starting running back, also out with an injury, a foot injury in the first quarter. When you lose two of your top offensive threats in a matter of plays, it just, especially against a defense that was as good as Brentwood Academy's is and as motivated as they were, it was just a recipe for disaster. And that's what happened to Pope Prep last night.
Yeah, you kind of, ring your own bell for the Gordonsville game. I'm going to ring my bell a little bit here because me and Tom picked Brentwood, and I believe y'all picked Pope. So me and Tom got a little bit of bragging rights here. The difference in this game and the reason why I picked Brentwood Academy is, yes, it was set up to be a quarterback battle back and forth, but Brentwood Academy has a great rushing attack led by Deuce Scott. And that's why I leaned to Eagles in this matchup. And ultimately, that's what the difference in the game was.
Yeah.
Chris, there seemed to be in your two interviews a lot of emotion from those two players. What was it that, when you see that kind of emotion after a win, those kids have taken something personal. What did you see out of that team?
These two teams have played in the playoffs each of the last 2 years. They were 3-point games the last 2 years. Brentwood Academy lost to Pope Prep last year. So the revenge angle was very much in mind with them as well, like it was with Cane Ridge. And, the defense has improved since playing NBA. Just a motivated, dangerous defense that was swarming all over the field. Chet Lax came in and did an admirable job when Kenny Minchie was out earlier in this year. He simply didn't have time to do anything last night because they were on him quickly. And also, too, the only thing that really went wrong for Brentwood Academy was the opening kickoff when Pope kicked to them and they mishandled it, and Pope recovered inside the 20-yard line. But Brentwood Academy's defense turned them over on downs, and Pope didn't get any points, and their momentum was all gone at that point.
Mm.
So the Eagles will make it on to the semifinals where they're going to host Baylor for a spot in Chattanooga, and BA will have home field after winning their region. So it'd be big for the Eagles to possibly end a bit of a dry spell as far as getting to championship games is concerned. If they can win over Baylor, they would do just that.
Yeah, you mentioned their defensive line being able to get pressure. They're going to need that pressure next week as Muschamp there for Baylor is a great quarterback as well.
Yep.
That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup to watch those two quarterbacks at work.
Yep. Well, that's it for the scores. Before we get out, I do want to pull up Eddie Woods' interview and show you guys that before we head out. But before I do, Scott, we've had Eddie Woods on a couple times this year, and the message has been the same. It's been pretty consistent all year, as he'll find in this interview. When we'll look back for Cane Ridge for just a second, between what they did early on in the year and how well they're playing now, you've seen them, I think, 3 times now. Yeah. What's been your biggest impression of them?
My biggest impression of them is how well they're playing as a team. They seem to, when you see somebody miss a play, they're picking each other up. Now, the coaches may be getting on them, but they're not doing it themselves. They're celebrating each other's accomplishments. They're celebrating each other's wins. And that's why I asked that question about togetherness, because I wanted to see if what they said was as real to them as I was seeing on the field. And I think that the fact that last year going out the way they did refocused that team this year. They are a very, very dangerous team because they believe. Yep. The coach has them believing, and it's on both sides of the ball. And they have talent. These guys will go as far as they possibly can, and they'll go for each other. And I think Coach Woods has done an outstanding job, bringing all these kids together that have so much talent, but playing them as a team and not having those internal issues that we see so often with kids that are being talked about as Mr. This or going to this school or whatever. I really think that Coach Woods is had an outstanding year as a head coach.
All right, let's hear from him.
Said they had this game circled since this is the game that put this team that put them out last year. Was that pretty much the way it was around the locker room this week?
Oh yeah. They definitely had this game circled since last year. These guys were juniors. They said they weren't going to let that happen this year, and I'd be lying to you if I say we weren't happy to draw them. But give that team a lot of credit. He's done a great job over there. I just think we just wanted it probably a little bit more. But this guys played hard. I think we made the plays when we needed to, and I'm excited for our guys.
This was the game last year that you circled that made you rethink how you wanted the culture in this team. Are you pleased with your progress so far with that change in culture?
I am. The kids bought in. I know I was not easy to deal with this off season. I worked their tails off. I was on them mentally. The mental part is the most important part. But I don't know about rethinking. We just had to reset our culture. At Cane Ridge, we believe in being physical, being dominant. But the only way you can do that is put the work in. You got to be disciplined. And we just got back to that. Got back to the simple thing, the basic things, and that's what we pride ourselves on.
Well, they're a pretty stout running team. Talk about your defense and what you guys did this week, because there was a lot of. You're talking about heavy hitting. There was a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Look, we're gonna stop the run. We want to pride ourselves on stopping the run. Our whole off season we didn't stop the run well last year, and we scrimmaged Oakland, we scrimmaged Ainsworth. We wanted to rush the ball and stop the run. We was big on that, and I'm just excited the guys responded to it. We're gonna be physical on defense. We're gonna hit you.
Siobhan goes off for 6 touchdown passes tonight. What a performance out of that guy. Now I know you say he's one of the leaders on the team, but did you see that performance coming from him?
None he does surprise me right now, especially when it comes to maturity. He's matured a lot. Sometimes I tell him, look, hey, when it's there, you take off with it. He's good at scrambling, looking at guys downfield. I think he had like 3 of them like that today, if I'm not mistaken. But none surprise me. He'll rush the ball. Hey, he'll play backseat to the other guys making plays. And like tonight, he was the guy in the front seat throwing a lot of TD passes. I don't know how many he had, but at the end of the day, we don't care. We just want to go out here and just advance.
That second touchdown pass, and you'll have to forgive me, the roster that I had didn't have his name. Number 13.
Yeah, Janelle Sain.
Yeah. That pass that he threw there, where he scrambled, made room, and then found him all alone. Is that just classic Abdullah there?
Yeah, when he came to the sideline, I felt he could have fit it in. We had like a high-low concept. Janelle was running the flat, and Moses was running the post behind it. I thought he could have fit it in there. He wasn't comfortable with it. And I tell him, believe what you see. He didn't see it, I did. I'm not playing though. And his natural instincts kicked in, and obviously on film last couple of games he's been running a lot, and those guys came in and he dumped it off.
I was going to say, he didn't run it like he usually did. Was that planned?
I tell him, just believe what you see. Just be instinctive. Only thing I ask him to do, take the full drop, read the right guy. If it's not there, then be instinctive. And that stuff I can't teach him.
And I think he had a hand in just about all your points, because he kicked every extra point and had that 2-point conversion.
Yeah. He does what he does. That's Siobhan being Siobhan. We're excited to have him, and hopefully we keep this thing going on.
Yeah. Now you get the winner of Smyrna and Beech. I know you've seen Smyrna. Mm-hmm. Have you seen anything about Beech, or do you know?
Very, very familiar with Coach Crabtree. I know we used to be in the same region about 4 or 5 years ago. So does a great job. Very physical team. Does a good job at stopping the run and rushing the ball. We have been watching them all season, because we probably know this will come. When we get extra time, once we break another team down on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we got the game plan pretty much in. We kind of not look ahead, but kind of start getting familiar with some of their players and some things they do. Mm-hmm. So we're not totally in the dark about him, but we know what he's going to bring. They're going to match the physicality. It's going to be best man win, but we know what Coach Crabtree stands for. He's a hell of a coach.
Well, Coach, enjoy the victory. Mm-hmm. I know that you'll enjoy it tonight, but tomorrow you'll probably be right back into the film room and everything else. So
that's it.
I appreciate your time, and good luck on the rest of the season.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. That first things first. Can we get Cambridge's band to maybe do a theme song for us? Because I caught myself bobbing my head to the beat.
I tell you, they're hypnotic out there, man. They do the job and do it well.
Yeah, those old Cambridge Beech region games back around 2015, 2016 were pretty physical ball games, and so we kind of know what to expect from those two teams when they go in the quarterfinals next week.
Yeah.
That's you get a chance to go to a game that's definitely one that you want to circle.
There are several. We've talked about them that they're going to run it back, either run it back, or it's going to be a highly anticipated matchup in round 3. And there's several good games around the area next Friday, so make sure and get out to one of them.
Yeah, we saw a word this week that got put in a little bit. The same word can go into next week too, as a theme word. Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of teams looking for revenge.
Yep.
Definitely some great football games this week, and next week is going to be stellar.
Yep.
Be sure to tune in to the Mid-State 48 because there's going to be some good conversations about these.
Yep. Yeah. We'll have a player of the week to announce that one as well. We'll make our picks and we'll talk about those quarterfinals and Division II semifinals on Mid-State 48 Wednesday morning on our YouTube channel. So make sure and stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. That's all the damage we can do for a scoreboard show. But for Cam and Scott, I'm Chris. We are gone. We will talk to you on the Mid-State 48 Wednesday and same time right back here next Saturday morning for our scoreboard show presented by Fifth Gear Technology Solutions. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Like and subscribe.
And stay warm.